A powerful trailer, rightfully so, for a powerful, thought-provoking, even funny movie. The Book of Clarence, exclusively in theaters January 12th. This film is by Jeymes Samuel, starring our guest LaKeith Stanfield. The official soundtrack includes Jay-Z, Jeymes, Lil Wayne, and more. I got a chance to see this movie. We got two people on the show right now, one in person and the other by phone. And I'm going to have DB do the honors of introducing our guests.
Well, normally when people come by the show, we say, you're a citizen of Sway in the Morning. But this guy, I think he's earned the title of homie because every time he comes here, it's just always a pleasure. And it's always been a pleasure to watch your career flourish. Everything from Selma to The Photograph to The Harder They Fall. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you're reuniting with the director of that film, Jeymes Samuel, who's on the phone with us. And I think we're seeing the new iteration of Spike Lee and Denzel. Ooh. If you guys keep working together and doing quality work like this, people, when you see this film, The Book of Clarence, I think it's going to drum up some really good conversations about the story of Jesus, the crucifixion, religion, belief, all that stuff. So please welcome LaKeith Stanfield and Jeymes Samuel.
Thank you so much. I consider it a high honor to be a friend of the show. So thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh man, you family, bro.
Yeah.
We expect free tickets to the movie theater family. You know what I mean? That's the kind of family you are. Hey, Jeymes.
Peace, my brothers.
This is Sway. Welcome to the show.
Peace, Black King. It's an honor to be here, Sway.
Wow.
An honor, man. I've been watching you for years, since the days of Sway and King Tech.
Hey,
that's what's up. My brother.
That's what's up.
Yo, let me tell you something, Jeymes. You just whatever you need, Jeymes. I'm here for you. If you late on your rent, I got you. LaKeith and I were just having this off, if you don't mind, LaKeith.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we were just having this off mic conversation. And we were playing Tupac, Ambitions of a Writer, and LaKeith was saying all the lyrics of this song. And so I normally don't do this, but I got pictures of Pac and me from when we were younger, Jeymes. I got a picture of Pac coming to the Sway and King Tech wake-up show that you're talking about right now. Wow. With me and a group called The Bums and Kevy Kell. These different people were on our show that I just showed LaKeith. So there's some kinetic energy going on right now, because LaKeith,
absolutely,
yeah, right. And so I didn't know you was that invested in what we've done in the past. So I appreciate you. I want to say that.
Sway, listen, man, listen, Sway. Your voice has spanned continents for decades. We've been listening to you since the 90s. We've been listening to you since the 90s, like watching your every single move since the 90s, putting MTV on your back, like. Since the 90s, we've been there through all the iterations of Sway. So it's an honor to be on the show, man. Wow. It's an honor to be here with this movie. You know what I mean?
Yo, I'm about to retire. Thank you, Jeymes. I'm good. That's my retirement speech.
We go back to Heather B. All Glocks Down.
Oh.
You better do it. Thank you, Jeymes. My goodness. Wow.
Jeymes, you're speaking. You know what I mean? You're speaking to a scholar of the arts. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Wow.
Yes.
That's really nice.
Huge scholar. It's interesting because with the Book of Clarence, as DB talked about it, even watching it kind of makes you kind of revisit your ideas about religion, your ideas about spirituality, your ideas about faith, and your ideas about history. And LaKeith just eloquently said that this and Pac has similarities because Pac is like the archetype of what the Book of Clarence is about. Can you explain that, LaKeith?
Yeah, I just think Pac talked about how he wanted to bring himself, his family into a better space and place and do better, be better, how he wanted to, be a larger than life sort of person. And he had to, he felt like he had to be a character that was involved in places and spaces with people that wouldn't be perceived in a positive light in order to get a larger message across. And so his means you may not agree with, but if you listen to him talk and you listen to his music, he told the truth. And typically what happens to people that tell the truth is they end up being sacrificed at one point or another. And that's precisely what happens to Clarence in this movie. He goes on a journey of wanting to bring his family from one place to a new place, a better place. And his way to get there is, he's like one of the guys who live around the corner down the street from Jesus. He's not Jesus, but he lives around there, and he sees what he's doing, and he wants to emulate it in order to bring prosperity to him and his family and be loved and feel like a somebody. He goes through that, he does that, and it might have been the wrong means, and he learns a really valuable lesson and then engages in a form of redemption at the end of the movie, but not without a huge, perhaps the biggest sacrifice. And so I see the parallels immediately when I hear Pac. I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. Damn, I can see those parallels. When you watch the movie, we're going to talk more about it because you do an awesome job as an actor in this movie. Yeah. But when you watch the movie, one of the first things, Jeymes, and this is to you, you confront the audience in a very detailed way. It's almost like a visual forward that you give in front of the movie. Why did you feel this was necessary, and what did you want to accomplish with that?
Are you talking about at the front of the movie?
Yeah.
How it starts, the opening shot?
No, there's a point where you're talking to the audience and the viewer where you're saying what influenced and inspired the film.
Yeah, well, for me, I would say I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, but I would say for me, right, I would see, just with regards to the origin of this movie, right, I had in my head for decades, and growing up, we are just as black people, because we've had everything stripped away from us. The one thing we've been inundated with, the one thing we've been inundated with was the Bible, right? From the Bible imagery with white Jesus and everything to the Bible stories, the actual New Testament, and then we were inundated with all of these movies that I loved. Ben-Hur, Quo Vadis, The Greatest Story Ever Told, Ten Commandments, all of these movies. But Sway, I never known anyone that looks like Charlton Heston.
No.
Even in the white community, I never known anyone that that looks like Victor Mature or even Kirk Douglas in Spartacus. But I know people that look like Sway. I know people that look like LaKeith Stanfield. I know people that look like Tiana Taylor. So for me, it was important for us to have a movie and to tell a story that resembled the environment, that actually resembled the environment that we come from. Because the Bible talks about the environments we come from all through it. It's just these Hollywood movies never really gave us that. And it was important for me to have a movie that resembled and tell a story that resembled the environment that we all come from, and that even if you don't come from it, you can relate to that environment because you've seen it before. But transposing it to 2,000 years ago, where where I can show how similar that day and time is to ours, and how little has changed. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No.
That was my inspiration and origin for telling the story, especially with what we go through now. I think it's important for us to see ourselves in those days as men and women, and as black men and women and black boys and girls. We should see ourselves reflected in the Bible days. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. A round of applause for that. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, because if you did, it's almost as if we weren't there.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm curious to both of you, because faith is a constant, to me, is the constant theme throughout this picture, throughout this project. How has faith impacted your journeys? I know my own personal journey. There's been times when I had bouts with my faith, and I had to buckle down and reassure it and reassure myself, and it always pulls through. How has faith impacted your journeys? I want to start with LaKeith.
Yeah, man, it's so much of it is mental. When I began acting, when I wanted to pursue acting, it was just an idea, a dream in my head, something I wanted to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just knew that I was going to do it, and I'd stop at nothing. It was death or this. So everything I had, I put it in the forefront. I am going to do this. And one could say that I manifested the situation that I ended up being in. But I think I realized that, faith, while nothing without the works, is also something that's subject to fortune and what one would call luck. I was in the right place at the right time, but I also had the circumstances and environment which allowed for me to have the potential to do what I wanted to do. When we're lucky enough to have all of those things line up, beautiful things can come from that. So it all starts with the idea of faith. At the time that I thought about being an actor, I had no reason to believe that I could be. But I moved, and regardless of whatever roadblocks that I thought might be in my way, and as a result of that, I gave myself a shot, an opportunity to be something better. And because of that, I understand the value in opportunity and why I'm so interested in helping others find it. Because when you have it and you're ready, you can do things that you thought were previously impossible. And that's what Clarence does in this movie. And I think that's the overarching message that we're trying to leave people with, is like your faith, your belief in the unseen unknown can be transmuted to a knowing of where you're supposed to be. And with that kind of ambition, you can bring about good things.
LaKeith Stanfield, damn. Jeymes, you want to jump on that?
Absolutely, man. I mean, faith is really all we have, man. Coming from where we're coming from, my background is Nigeria, is African Caribbean, and then we grew up in a hood in England, and traveling at an early age around my granny lived in East Flatbush, right? So traveling at an early age to all of these places, from Nigeria to East Flatbush back to London, you realize that every hood around the world is exactly the same. And literally the only thing that gets us through is our faith, right? Whether it's our faith in God or faith in ourselves. But what I found is that we are trained, the older we get, to have like less and less faith in ourselves, right? We're trained to have, less faith in ourselves. As a child, you're taught to think positive. As an adult, you're taught, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Everything you learn as a child, hence when they say, what advice would you give your younger self? I always say, I wouldn't give him any advice. I'll take advice from him, right? Because adults shouldn't be giving advice to grown-ups. Adults are to kids. Adults are like super pessimistic. Kids, the sky's the limit. Kids dream big. Kids believe they can fly. And the only thing that you have going for you really is your faith, when all else is stripped away. So I would always come back to my faith, right? It would always come back to the teachings that my mother taught me about God, and also who we are as people. I think that without faith, those are the last pillars, and without which we will just crumble all the way. Our faith is what has kept us all here. So for me, faith played a huge part. When I see my brothers and sisters, I'm the first to say peace to the God. Peace to the God. I see the God in them, and they see the God in me. And some people, I see people even in the comments of articles and interviews that I've done saying, he's saying that we're gods. He doesn't understand, and this movie must be blasphemous. But yeah, if I open with peace, my nigga, no one would say anything. No one would have any. Like, it's a strange thing how people have a
Ain't that something?
reaction when you say, ain't that something when you say peace to the God, peace God, peace God. No one says. Everyone complains, but it shows how little faith that we have in ourselves, and how everything's removed, but we're allowed to call each other niggas and not God. So for me, faith is everything. Faith in God is everything. And I'm not saying that we are the divine, but I am saying we are of the divine.
Yes.
We are of the divine. We're here for a reason. And the moment I see God in Sway, and the moment Sway sees God in LaKeith, and LaKeith sees God in me, we can accomplish great things. And it would be all Glocks down.
You gotta bring it around.
Jeymes, I like that, man.
But the moment we accept ourselves as niggas and watch Django and watch ourselves being called nigger 110 times in 2 hours, then niggas is what we'll be. So faith is everything, man. And in that, I just say peace to the God.
Peace to the God.
Peace
to the God. I love that. Jeymes Samuel, I love that. When you come to New York, come hang out with us, bro. Stop playing.
Man, I was just there, man. I'd love to be in the studio right now.
Bro, look at LaKeith, look what I'm wearing, man. Hold on. What can you see the tag in this? What does that tag say?
Paper planes.
Paper plane. I got the Emery exclusive paper plane jacket on. I knew LaKeith was coming,
too.
Jeymes. I'm all family. I got on my unicorn. Yeah, Emery hooked me up too with great colors. Heather B, go ahead, jump
Well,
in.
look, we talking about fashion, Jeymes and LaKeith. Hands down, fit of the year so far. I don't even know what to do with all this. You just walked in styling.
Well, it's a long year. Hopefully, I hold up.
You're gonna hold up. You're gonna hold up. But this question is.
You know what LaKeith does? You know what LaKeith does?
What?
He tells me every time we got one of these junkets or press to do, I'm like, LaKeith, how you looking tomorrow? He's like, man, I'm just dressing down. I'm just dressing down. So I come in looking like Tupac from Juice. And LaKeith comes in like all Louis Vuitton Pharrell collection.
Killing it.
You know what I mean?
You gotta keep him off the sink. Ain't nobody be looking better than you. You know?
Come on, the truth came out, man. You gotta see this dude, Jeymes.
Yo, that is so funny. Yeah, he's dripped out for sure. But, this conversation is reminding me a little bit of what happened yesterday. We had Danielle Kaluuya and Kane Robinson. They pulled up to talk about the kitchen. And Jeymes mentioned about having this idea for so long, the same way Daniel talked about having the kitchen idea for 10 years. And just as an artist, because I always consider myself an artist first, no matter what I'm doing, it's sometimes it's frustrating to me having an idea for so long. I'm like, when is this gonna happen? When is it gonna manifest? How can I keep shaping this out and taking away and adding to it? And Jeymes, you literally said you had this idea for a long time as well. I want to start with
Almost
you
20 years.
Yeah, almost 20 years, double the time that Daniel talked about. How does patience play into all of this with you with faith? And then for LaKeith, I would hope that you can answer the same thing, because it was all or nothing for you in terms of becoming an actor.
Yeah.
I would say, Heather, what you must always hold on to, right, is one, patience is everything, right? Everything. But patience doesn't mean to wait. Patience means staying active, right? Staying active and holding the course, staying the course, staying active, staying the course, and holding the fort, like Gladiator, right? And Braveheart, when the enemy's coming, it's like hold. But you still have to stay active within it, because ideas are actual living things. Those ideas you have, they're living things, they're living entities, they're breathing entities, and they come to you for a reason. They come to you because they want to be born, right? They want to be born, and so I just see it as what my mom always told me: nothing happens before its time. But in the words of Victor Hugo, nothing could stop an idea whose time has come. So you just have to keep feeding it, keep fueling it, staying active within the machinery of that idea, and be patient, and it would happen. It would, because the idea came to you for a reason. So I knew no one was going to make anything like the Book of Clarence before me, because that idea was just haunting me until it was born. In 136 years of the moving image, we've never seen two black people go, "There's Jesus of Nazareth." We have never seen that in 136 years of the moving image. We've never seen ourselves on screen in that day and time. So stay the course with all those ideas, Heather. They're going to be born.
Amen.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
We have now, Jeymes. You also failed to mention that you kept that script a secret. Even from me.
That part.
When I met him on the Harder Day Fall, he was like, he had decided that I was going to be in the role and didn't even say nothing until later. Then when he showed me the script. Yeah, then when he showed me the script, I understood why. Because it was so big and massive. It would have took up so much real estate in my mind. I would have been thinking about this script the entire time. But precisely, like, patience is a virtue. You need to understand that everything needs to happen at a certain time. Timing, rhythm, being in tune and harmony is important. And, understanding immediate gratification just leads to results that you don't want. And everything happens at its time. You wait for the perfect moment. I think when you're in things for the right reasons, you tend to not need to feel immediately satisfied. You feel satisfied by the process. And so that's why a film like this, doesn't matter what happens, I'll always cherish it, because the process was something that was so healing, so gratifying, and so real and fun and spiritual. And that's what you want to do now. Don't get me wrong. Everybody go to the theater January 12th. Go see this movie. Bring your mama, bring your grandmama, bring
January
everybody.
12th. Yeah.
This Friday.
Friday.
You know, it's an experience that would truly have you leaving feeling inspired. And just remember, hopefully you can remember that the process is always more important than the destination, and the process requires faith.
Amen.
Write that down too, Heather. All right, Tracy G.
Yo,
Bars.
Jeymes,
We got a couple questions, James. We're gonna shoot on Mike Muse, Tracy G, DB. They're eager to ask you guys questions. Go for
Yeah,
it.
Jeymes, LaKeith, my goodness, so much wisdom, and I receive everything that both of y'all have shared as truth. So thank you. You know, often I think about, you're so welcome. Often I think about humans' relationship with significance, which is a need, but sometimes when you have an insatiable desire for significance, you over depend on external validation. You know, Heather mentioned Daniel, and he did an incredible interview of Rick Rubin, and he shared that there was once a time when it came to his work, he was always focused on being good or being great, but he ended up over criticizing himself, and what he now does is just an honest performance. That's the standard he gives himself. Clarence, throughout the film, you hear him wanting to be somebody, and when it's mentioned that he's nobody, he rejects it, you know, fiercely. How do you know, LaKeith, starting with you, and Jeymes, please jump in as well. How did you know throughout your journey as a human when you were becoming somebody that, or the difference between becoming somebody that made your ego proud and somebody that made your soul proud?
It's a good question. I think instinctually in the beginning, I realized that what came with outside criticism, outside praise even, was the idea that you were beholden to other people's perspective. So I was very solitary in the beginning, and I'd put my head down and people would be saying thank you, and I was almost rude. I was almost like, I don't care what your opinion is, because I need to be focused on what I'm here to do. And it's important that my self-image of myself is in a place where I can do what I need to do. Then comes your opinion later.
Yeah.
As I've grown more, I've become more open to the ideas, but more situated in my own foundation. Therefore, negative, positive, no matter what it is, there's kind of these built-in reflectors. You know, some people need you to be negative. You start to realize that that is more often than not a reflection of how they feel. And some people are able to give their flowers. But it's important that you understanding yourself. Knowledge is stronger than belief. If you know where you're coming from and that it was honest and genuine, it don't really matter what everybody else has to say about it. What I love about being in films is that it's such a communicative network. It's a giant community effort. We're all in this together, and nothing is done without all of us being instrumental in the process. So the people you do things with is very important.
Yes.
So I got real lucky on the Book of Clarence that it was a group of people with a singular thought brought together through the music of Jeymes, quite literally. I mean, we'd be on the stage, everybody dancing and the music going, and we're all in one accord and in one frequency, and we're all black, and we're all in the 33 AD. Like, that was a dream of mine. Wow. There it was now manifest, you know what I mean? And that, you know, part of that comes from, and even in Jeymes, I know he had to walk through them places and be like, I have an idea, and regardless of what y'all talking about, we gonna make this be done.
Word.
It all starts within, and then when you're within, then you can move without.
All right.
Absolutely, man. And I echo the same sentiments. I would say that even with Clarence, he's always on a journey to be somebody. But he is somebody. The minute you meet him, he's the flyest, dopest individual you ever seen, like in the Bible days. But he himself, it's almost like Clarence is at war with himself, because we are all no one's nobody, right? No one's a nobody. I'd like to just add something, just a quick sidebar. You know, Heather, when I was talking about it was like this idea was in my head for 20 years.
Right.
Then I actually wrote it in 2017. I've never thought about this before. Literally, the minute I wrote that script, around not long after, I wrote the script 2017, but not long after, I bumped into LaKeith at the gold party, right? The Jay-Z's gold party. We were just talking about pizza, nothing more. Then we actually met on the Harder Day 4. So I know the reason why the Book of Clarence took long to make, and this is, again, back to patience, Heather. The reason why the Book of Clarence took so long to make is because I didn't know LaKeith yet. Because no one on literally, LaKeith and Clarence was born for LaKeith to play him. I can if LaKeith said no, and I've told him this a million times. If he said he wasn't playing it, I wouldn't have made Clarence. I would have made another movie. I couldn't see another person in that role. So it's almost like the script had to be born when I met LaKeith, and then Clarence was ready to be made. But anyway,
wow.
Did y'all serve pizza on the set?
Actually, all we ate was pizza. Yeah, we were in Italy, so it was just like pasta and pizza every day. I was pizza the hell out by the time we finished it.
I swear to God, man.
But Jeymes,
I'll never see another pizza again.
But that is also a testament to the integrity of your writing and the fact that you spoke truth to your heart. When you do that, you find that there are universal truths shared by others. Not only do I identify with Clarence, but everybody can identify with Clarence because it's such a universal story. And that's because you was honest enough to lay out your heart and your journey. When I got the script for the Book of Clarence, Jeymes was on the front of it in Jesus regalia.
Rightfully so.
And I was like, this is fire because the imagery represented, like when I look at images, which is why all my tattoos are symbols, I'm looking at the symbology and the meaning behind it. It isn't necessarily what's apparent is the meaning. And by the way, this movie has layered meanings. For instance, I played Clarence and his twin brother Thomas, which is Clarence Thomas. You know what I mean? And like there are a bunch of little nuggets that you find within the movie as you watch it that are just brilliant. And it comes from the just understanding of symbology and what lies beyond the eye, quite literally in the faith realm. And so when I saw that, I was just like, this is going to be special and written from his unique perspective. So one of the first things I was like, is like, yo, my hair got to be like James's hair.
Yeah.
And so, we collaborated on the hair, and then it was like, perfect. Boom. The hair is a representation of James's hair, James's soul, James's spirit, which then is a representation of mine, which then is a representation of everybody who comes to commune with us. So it's like, it's special like that.
Wow.
And I love that. I was speaking to Snoop 2 days ago, and he'd watched the movie, and he said, I was watching it, and I just felt it was my biopic. And I've heard that from so many people who come from our struggle, right, that have watched the Book of Clarence. They felt like it was their biopic. Like the Book of Clarence was a personal story from LaKeith Stanfield.
When you said that, Sway looked right at me.
I know a couple of scenes that might have made him feel that way too. Hey, we got Mike Hughes in there. Mike, jump on this real quick.
Yep. Yeah, so gentlemen, I've had the chance to see the film, so congratulations to you, Jeymes, and to LaKeith. Really well done. I saw it twice, actually. And so
thank you, bro.
The question I have, it's the same question, but I want it to be answered two different ways. So the first to you, LaKeith, I've always been a fan of your acting. I thought you were one of the most phenomenal actors of our time.
Yes.
But I think the crucifixion scene for me is what sets you apart from every other actor that is out there, and your gift and your brilliance. Wow. And so I want to know, how did you prepare for that scene particularly? But Jeymes, I want to know, how did you think about the cut of that scene and the directorial decisions that you made by not focusing on actual of the nails going in? So I want you to talk about that.
It was tricky because at that point in the story, Clarence's mindset is at a different place than it was in the beginning. He had, realized that there's something larger than himself. So there's a sense of actual confidence and assuredness that should accompany him, even in the moments that are quite difficult. So trying to incorporate that into these difficult moments is quite tricky, but also pain is not easy to show because it's like, well, how do you act when you're extremely hurt and in pain? Well, you don't know. And so what I literally had to do was put myself in the position of, feeling these nails going through me, but also thinking about my ancestors, what they have went through, and a lot of them going through the whips and the chains and on the more difficult physical taxation on my ancestors. Just thinking about that and trying to channel that through and asking them for the love and spirit to be able to have it run through me so I could help tell this story that I think could be beneficial for all of us. And so I'm thinking about that, but it's like 30 degrees outside, so it's cold too. And I'm trying to keep, my mental space in a certain state. But really what it is you got to get to the space where you're actually feeling the pain so that what comes across on your face is genuine. You can't really fake the pain. So it's like, how do I get to that place? And there's some ways to do it, but I don't really want to give all the secrets
Trade
away.
secrets right there.
But it's like when you're in pain often too, in presence of others, what you're trying to do is let them believe that you're not in pain. You're not trying to show your cards. So there were moments where I wanted to keep the pain inside so they didn't know how much I was truly hurting. And I think it was important in that moment.
You did that with your eyes. It came out in your
Yes.
eyes. Your eyes were you. The most perfect part of your acting part was the eyes.
Yes.
It came right through there.
Thank
So
you.
Jeymes, the question
why-
with the decision about not showing the nails going in.
Well, for me, it's a couple of things. One, LaKeith Stanfield, for me, isn't only one of the greatest actors of his generation. Like, I'm a student of film. LaKeith Stanfield is one of the greatest actors of all time. This dude is absolutely amazing. When you watch the Book of Clarence and see, like, the emotional gamut that this man takes us through, it's astounding. Hence, you all understand why I couldn't do the movie without him. You know, there's things that we experience as children that inform us artistically through the rest of our days. A lot of times we don't know or we don't necessarily hold on to what those things are, but they've affected us. And sometimes we can hold on to what those things are. For me, there's a 1954 movie directed by David Lean called Hobson's Choice. Stars Charles Lawton, who's one of the illest of all time, and Sir John Mills, right? Now, in that movie, John Mills is a virgin. Then he gets married, and he breaks and he makes love for the first time to his wife. And we are behind the door, and we watch him, and his wife calls him in the door, and he looks, and he walks in the room, and the door closes. It's an old black and white movie. I watched this when I was like 11, and the door closes. And we know everything that has happened, right? Since watching that movie as a kid, every time I see a love scene in a film, I'm like, oh, wow, do we actually have to go there? Do we have to show the actual thing? And it taught me as a kid that suggestion is much better than actually, showing us what happened. So when you have an actor like LaKeith who embodies all of the pain, I knew I could put the camera on his face and use the sound of footsteps walking around him from point to point of the cross and looking at his eyes. We concentrate on his eyes and you hear the footsteps and then bang! And LaKeith's pain. And that's one of the most harrowing parts of the movie without showing the brutality of the nails actually going in. I let the mind do it for you. I let the suggestion do it for you. And that's inspired from David Lean's choice way back in 1954. But for me, you do need the right actors to do that. And with LaKeith can like embody so much joy and embody so much pain.
Also,
pretty much.
Also, have you ever stubbed your toe?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
There you go. That too, right?
That's how you know.
Yeah.
That's how you find the pain.
Trade secret. Hey, Jeymes, I know we got to wrap, man. A couple things. Number one, when you come to New York, you got a new best friend. I just want to hang out with you and swap conversation.
My brother, man, for life and longer.
That's
Like next time I'm here, because I was just here. Next time I'm in New York, I'm coming. I'm coming up to the show.
Come to the show. We're hanging out. That's a done deal. I'm gonna let DB in the interview with the last question. And DB, go ahead. He's our movie junkie. He's also a member of
Critics' Choice Association.
There you go.
I'll keep this short because there's a line in the film where Clarence says, "I'm not a man without fault, and I'm also not a man without purpose." And I feel something like that transcends religion and faith like that. It's something that can be applied to anybody. What would you say to somebody who doesn't follow an organized religion, is atheist, agnostic, or just has some sort of spiritual but not necessarily believes in Jesus or God, the way Clarence was at the beginning of the film?
I think it's natural for us to be cynical, to be skeptics, and I think it's actually healthy to engage in a lot of questions about who we are, where we are, why we're here. I think for me, I think the best thing to kind of do is do an internal investigation and figure out inside, go into yourself and try to, work out, more so just explore and survey the question rather than look for the answer. I think answers kind of tighten things up in ways that stop us. When you get the answer, you're done. If you had the answer to your imagination, you wouldn't imagine anymore. So I think it's always good to continue to question, and those people that are cynical continue to be that way, but understand that there's universality apparent in all of us, and it can be seen, and it just depends to what frequency you're tuned to see it. and perhaps your interpretation of the world is closer to the truth than mine, or somebody else's interpretation is somebody else's. So we got to be open to different schools of thoughts and ideas, and understand we all just trying to figure the same thing out, dancing in the same way, trying to figure out who we are, and what we're here to do. But one thing we know is what we're not here to do, and that's hurt each other, kill each other, steal from each other, lie to each other. So,
Amen.
LaKeith Stanfield.
Exactly. And I'll echo. I'll conclude on that and add to it by saying, beneath everything, beneath every single genre, the root of it is a story, and we're storytellers. So even if you have faith, if you're of faith, and you're Christian or whatever your religion is, you'll find your point in this. You find your point in this movie. You find things you can relate to. And if you're not of faith, it's still an amazing story, because the story is about a man's life, right? You don't have to be Christian to enjoy Ben-Hur. You don't have to be, Christian to enjoy the Ten Commandments or any of these things. A great story is a great story, and a great movie is a great movie. And the Book of Clarence, I know it's politically incorrect for a director to say, my movie's great. It's a great movie. It's the first of its kind in 136 years of the moving image, and we deserve to see ourselves in that space and time.
Absolutely.
Whether you believe in the book or not, that time existed, right? Ancient Jerusalem existed. And we were all there. We were all this. We deserve to see ourselves in that. So hopefully we'll see you all at the theaters.
Yeah, you'll
see y'all there. We might pop up on y'all.
Hey, check it, James. Before you go, I'll be remiss if I didn't ask about Jay-Z and his involvement, but more importantly, y'all relationship. We heard you guys mention that some of these parts need the right actors, but some of these partnerships need the right partner.
Exactly.
What is it for you, from your experience? What's special about the tandem of you and Jay-Z and how y'all choose to work together?
Man, me and Jay, we met like 14, 15 years ago through Jay Electronica. I was producing Jay Electronica's Act 2,
yes,
right? Around the time Exhibit C came out. So
go ahead, talk your shit, James. That's when you come up here. That's where we gonna go with it.
Hip hop.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
all right.
Okay. So it's me and Jay Electronica like producing all of Act 2 at that time, and that's how I met Jay, right? And so we were collaborating ever since. We did Shiny Suit Theory joint together. Then we did the music for The Great Gatsby. But Jay-Z has what we regard as the dream gene, right? Like you could tell him, let's go to Mars. I want to go to Mars. And he'd be like, I know a guy who can take us to the thing. You know what I mean? And next minute, we'll be having a conversation about going to Mars. Like, he is the dopest partner and just like my ride or die. And creating with him is like breathing. And it's not just musical, right? A lot of the things that we cook together is film, is story. He's profoundly semi-literate. Like LaKeith is a dope musician as well as a dope actor, and Jay-Z is dope. He has a really dope film mind as well as being an amazing musician, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of the people that surround me are these multi-hyphenate individuals. They come to like LaKeith came to our attention as an actor. He's equal parts. He's just an all-round artist. Nice. And Jay-Z came to our attention as a rapper, but he's an amazing film producer.
Absolutely.
So our partnership is rooted in friendship and us just cracking jokes and out of it and having fun and always creating. And out of it, these classics are made. The Harder They Fall, the Book of Clarence, and you know what I mean. And also, LaKeith is one of my creators. I've only made 2 movies, both starred LaKeith Stanfield. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
look at
that's my right hand.
There you
right
go.
there.
Hey, Jeymes Samuel, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show today. Can't wait to meet you in person.
Yes.
I feel like I already know you, brother. Peace, God.
Yes.
Peace, God.
Peace to the God.
Peace.
Down.
I love it.
Hey, and LaKeith, congratulations on your journey, man. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And not just on the camera, but off the camera as well, man. So salute to you. Continue success. We're going to stay in contact. You're going to see me some. There goes Sway, and I'm going to just stand right next to you. I can't shake them. Anything you want to say in closing?
Thank you guys all so much. Thank you very much. I love it here. Thank you.
Thank you. We love
Wow,
you here.
we love
And
you.
James, we love you too, man.
Yes.
And when you talk to Emery, let him know I rock this jacket. All right?
You're going to see it.
You're going to see it. The Book of Clarence, January 12th. We need the whole community to step outside
Do it.
and support this. It's a great movie.
Yes.
It will definitely provoke thought. Have conversations after the movie, and then go see it again and see how you interpret it, okay? The Book of Clarence,
And get the
January
soundtrack,
12th.
too.
And the soundtrack is crazy, right?
Soundtrack is crazy.
Lil Wayne on it. Jeymes is on it.
Jay-Z.
Jigga. Who else?
D'Angelo.
Yeah, I heard y'all got that 10-minute,
Buju Banton.
9-minute, 10-minute song.
Buju?
Shaba.
9 minutes, 9 minutes, 33 seconds.
There you go.
D'Angelo and Jay-Z.
There you go. Hey, man, Book of Clarence, the Book of Clarence. Let's support it. The Book of Clarence. LaKeith, thank you for coming by. Jeymes, see you soon.